Across Southeast Asia, long before refrigerated trucks and supermarket supply chains existed, farmers were already harvesting a leafy green that thrived in places most crops would never survive. It grew along canals, in flooded fields, and in muddy water left behind after seasonal rains. Markets filled with it before sunrise. Street vendors tossed it into hot woks by mid-morning. For millions of families, it quietly became one of the most ordinary foods on the table. The plant is called kangkong, known in English as water spinach. Its scientific name is Ipomoea aquatica. In Vietnam, it is called rau muống. In China, ong choy. Across Indonesia and Malaysia, kangkong. Different names, same plant, long hollow stems, tender green leaves, and a reputation for growing quickly wherever water is present. Walk through a morning market in Manila or Bangkok, and you will see how common it is. Bundles of fresh stems tied together with rubber bands, harvested just hours earlier. Vendors chop it into stir-fries with garlic and chili. Street stalls blanch it and serve it beside grilled fish. In many households, it appears on the table the same way bread appears beside meals in Europe, familiar, affordable, and expected. For generations, this simple leafy green plant has been one of the most widely eaten vegetables on the planet, feeding hundreds of millions of households every single day. Today, it still travels across oceans through global food trade, appearing in produce sections far from the wetlands where it first became a staple. But in the United States, this everyday vegetable sits under a very different set of rules. You can buy it, you can cook it, you can eat it. But growing it yourself can break federal regulations. So how did one of the most widely eaten vegetables on Earth become illegal to grow in America? Well, here is the fascinating story on how 3 billion people eat this plant daily, but it's illegal to grow in America. But before we get into it, welcome to Lost Green Law. If you enjoy this kind of content, you will really help us out if you could like the video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Now moving on. Most vegetables share the same weakness: too much water and they collapse. Roots suffocate, soil turns to mud, and entire gardens can disappear after a few days of flooding. Farmers in tropical regions have dealt with this problem for centuries. Heavy monsoon rains can drown crops that were perfectly healthy just a week earlier. Water spinach evolved in the opposite direction. Ipomoea aquatica belongs to the same botanical family as morning glories and sweet potatoes, but its structure is unusually well suited to life around water. The stems are hollow, which allows them to float across ponds, canals, and flooded fields. When one of those floating stems touches soil or mud, small nodes along the stem can quickly develop roots. In the right conditions, a single cutting can anchor itself and begin producing new growth within days. That ability to regenerate is one of the reasons farmers across Southeast Asia cultivate it in shallow ponds or wet fields rather than traditional soil beds. Instead of rows planted in dry ground, water spinach is often grown in flooded plots, where stems spread across the surface like a living mat of green leaves. Harvesting is simple. Farmers cut the stems several inches above the waterline, and within a short time, the plant sends out fresh shoots ready for the next harvest. The plant also tolerates heat that would stress many leafy vegetables. Warm temperatures between roughly 25 and 30 degrees Celsius, common in tropical climates, actually encourage rapid growth. Combined with abundant water, that environment can produce thick bundles of leaves in just a few weeks. For farmers working in wet tropical landscapes, these traits make water spinach incredibly practical. Fields that might be too muddy for lettuce or cabbage suddenly become productive again. Instead of fighting the water, growers simply raise a crop that thrives in it. But the value of water spinach is not only in how easily it grows, it's also in what those leaves contain. For a plant that appears so ordinary in markets, water spinach carries an unusually dense nutritional profile. The leaves are thin, tender, and cook in seconds, but inside those stems is a combination of micronutrients that nutrition researchers have been measuring for decades. Start with iron. According to nutritional analyses commonly cited in food composition databases, 100 grams of raw water spinach contains about 2.7 milligrams of iron. That number matters because iron is the mineral responsible for transporting oxygen through the bloodstream. When diets lack it, people develop iron deficiency anemia, a condition that still affects billions of people worldwide, particularly in regions where meat is expensive or rarely consumed. Compare that to a vegetable Americans know well, Spinach. The same 100-gram serving of standard spinach provides roughly 0.8 milligrams of iron. Water spinach contains more than 3 times that amount. Vitamin C tells a similar story. Freshwater spinach provides roughly 55 milligrams per 100 grams, while spinach contains about 28 milligrams. Vitamin C supports immune function and helps the body absorb iron more efficiently, which makes the combination of both nutrients in the same plant especially useful in diets built around vegetables and grains. Beyond those 2 headline nutrients, the leaves also contain measurable levels of potassium, calcium, and dietary fiber, along with several B vitamins that contribute to energy metabolism. None of this makes water spinach unique in the botanical world. Many leafy greens carry useful nutrients. What makes this plant notable is the combination of nutrition and accessibility. It grows quickly, requires very little input, and can be harvested repeatedly from the same planting. For communities where fresh vegetables must be both affordable and dependable, that combination matters. A leafy green that grows easily and delivers micronutrients in meaningful amounts tends to stick around in traditional diets. And over centuries, water spinach quietly earned that place in kitchens across half the world. But when that same plant eventually crossed into American waterways, nutrition was not the first thing regulators noticed. By the mid-20th century, communities from Southeast Asia had begun settling in cities across the United States, bringing with them the ingredients that shaped their everyday cooking. Among those ingredients was Ipomoea aquatica, better known as water spinach. Asian grocery stores in places like California, Texas, and New York began importing bundles of the vegetable so families could continue preparing dishes that had been part of their diets for generations. But long before those grocery stores appeared, botanists had already encountered the plant in parts of the American South. Florida's warm, humid climate closely resembles the tropical environments where water spinach naturally thrives. So during the early and mid-1900s, agricultural researchers began documenting small populations appearing in canals and drainage systems. Some of these sightings were linked to experimental cultivation, while others likely came from discarded plant fragments entering waterways. Because the stems float and root easily, even a small cutting drifting through slow-moving water can sometimes establish a new plant. By the 1960s, these scattered sightings began drawing attention from environmental scientists. Aquatic plants that spread rapidly can create problems in irrigation networks and wetlands, particularly if they outcompete native vegetation. At the time, US agencies were already dealing with aggressive species like hydrilla and water hyacinth, both known for clogging canals and disrupting waterways across the South. Concern about invasive aquatic plants was growing. In response, regulators began compiling lists of species capable of spreading aggressively in American waterways. In 1973, the US Department of Agriculture formalized part of that effort through the Federal Noxious Weed List, designed to restrict plants considered high risk for uncontrolled spread. Among the species included was water spinach. The decision was not about nutrition or cuisine, it was about how the plant behaves in water. Researchers had observed its ability to grow rapidly, sending stems across the surface and rooting wherever nodes touched mud or soil. For regulators responsible for protecting waterways, that growth pattern justified caution. And with that classification, a vegetable eaten daily across much of the world became a regulated plant in the United States. Yet what happened next created a strange contradiction. Walk into an Asian supermarket in cities like Los Angeles, Houston, or New York, and you can still find it sitting in the produce section. Long green stems bundled together, leaves still fresh from harvest. Labels may read water spinach, choy, or kangkong. For shoppers who grew up with the vegetable, nothing about it looks unusual. It is simply another ingredient waiting to be cooked. And legally, buying it is not a problem. Restaurants across the United States serve dishes made from water spinach every day. Vietnamese kitchens stir-fry it with garlic. Thai chefs toss it quickly in a hot wok with chili and oyster sauce. Filipino households blanch the stems and dip them in fermented shrimp paste. None of that violates any federal rule. The restriction appears only when someone tries to grow the plant themselves. Because Ipomoea aquatica sits on the Federal Noxious Weed List, cultivating it outdoors in many parts of the country can require permits or regulated containment systems. Some states treat it more strictly than others, but the central concern remains the same: preventing the plant from escaping into natural waterways. This creates an unusual regulatory situation. The vegetable can legally enter the country through monitored supply chains. Importers, distributors, and grocery stores handle it every day. Consumers take it home and cook it without issue. But planting the same stems in an open garden, especially near warm waterways where the plant might spread, can trigger agricultural restrictions. For families who grew up harvesting water spinach from backyard ponds or wet fields, the rule can feel strange. A vegetable that appears perfectly ordinary in one part of the world suddenly becomes a regulated species in another. The reason, regulators argue, has little to do with what happens in the kitchen. It has everything to do with what might happen in the water. To understand why regulators remain cautious about water spinach, it helps to look at how the plant behaves outside a garden. Unlike many vegetables that rely primarily on seeds to reproduce, Ipomoea aquatica spreads easily through vegetative growth. The stems are soft, hollow, and buoyant. When a piece breaks off, whether from harvesting, storms, or simple disturbance, it can float along the surface of the water until it touches soil or sediment. At that point, the small nodes along the stem can begin producing roots. That single fragment can become a new plant. In warm aquatic environments, the growth can be surprisingly fast. The stems creep across the surface of ponds or canals, sending down roots and pushing up new leaves. Given enough time and the right conditions, the plants can form dense patches across shallow water. For ecologists who manage waterways, this pattern raises familiar concerns. Aquatic plants that spread aggressively can sometimes block sunlight from reaching submerged vegetation. That shift can change which species survive in the water and which ones disappear. In irrigation canals, dense plant growth can also slow water flow and complicate maintenance. Water spinach is not the only plant capable of this behavior. Aquatic ecosystems around the world deal with similar challenges from species like hydrilla, water hyacinth, and duckweed, all of which have required large-scale management efforts in different regions. The key point is that the plant's strength as a crop, its ability to regenerate quickly and grow in water, is the same trait that makes environmental managers cautious about uncontrolled spread. In a controlled farm pond, those characteristics produce food efficiently. In a natural waterway, they can introduce an ecological variable that regulators prefer to avoid. And that tension between agricultural usefulness and environmental risk is exactly where water spinach continues to sit in the United States today. Quite interesting, right? Anyway, as floods become more common and agriculture faces new climate pressures, could crops that thrive in water end up becoming some of the most important foods of the future? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.